Yo, what up guys? It's about time we get started putting this interior back together. And as you can tell, I had a gauge up top and unfortunately it broke, but Innovate was nice enough to replace it under warranty, and they actually replaced everything minus the sensors. I just sent them the gauge and they pretty much replaced everything, like literally everything. Sent me a brand new gauge. Pretty smooth process. I will say it's a little bit sketchy because you have literally like zero communication. Like you mail it to them, they give you instructions, you call them, they give you instructions, you mail it, and they don't say anything. They don't send you emails, they don't send anything, and one day it just pops up. So it is a little bit sketchy, but overall I'm just glad that, you know, they stand by their products and they gave me a new gauge, because it's been a pain not being able to see my boost and AFRs and stuff. So I don't know, I don't like boosting without knowing what's going on. So I'm over here at Rodney's and we're getting ready to install this and get started on the interior. What's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So we have something I've had for quite a while actually. So as you can clearly see, we got the shifter console right over here. Just installed this shift boot and it came out great. And before I actually put it on the car, I figured I might as well take care of this. So what I have here, this is the old shift knob. And believe it or not, this is an ARC shift knob that I bought in 2009, I believe. It's titanium and everything. It's just in a brushed finish. I do plan on keeping this. I don't know why, but ARC didn't brand this like they typically do. So the only thing the only people would know would be the people that obviously bought it, but it came in an ARC box and everything. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, but it's here. This is what I've been using on the car since. So this has been on the car for over 10 years. So with the 5-speed swap, I noticed that the shifter position was a little bit lower than what I was used to with the MR. So I decided to go ahead and buy a completely different little shift knob kit. And this is from the guys over at Raceseng. And great packaging from these guys. Top-notch quality. So here we have a, look at that, a little shift knob kit, and I'll go ahead and pull it out for you guys so you guys can see. So it comes with this little nice sock that you actually, I think you're supposed to use that on the shift knob to protect it from the sun and all that stuff. But here we have my new shift knob, and this is weighted. This is heavy, like super heavy. And it goes really well with the little theme that I have. Not to mention, you'll notice later on, the gauges have a little brushed silver kind of trim. So this was the purpose behind this. And all their kits come with an adapter, which looks like this. So you put this essentially on the actual threads of the shifter, and that actually attaches to that. And what this is a little collar, which is pretty cool. So you'll notice a lot of shifters, the boots will kind of just sit there, kind of just like that, and kind of just dangle. So what this is for is essentially you use that, and with the little zip tie provided, you basically put this on there like that, and this will be basically the middleman between the collar, well, the shift boot, the collar, and the actual shift knob itself. But take a look at that. Tell me that's not cool. So this should be pretty interesting. I am a little hesitant because at first when I did the 5-speed swap, I wasn't used to the shifter being so low. I'm gonna have to get a different shift knob because this is too low, and unfortunately this armrest doesn't slide up, so it literally puts me in a weird position where my elbow is kind of sitting above it. So I'm gonna have to get a taller shift knob to kind of mess with it. Otherwise, I'm gonna be very uncomfortable with this. Not a fan. But now that I'm used to it and I've been driving the car for about a year, it's gonna be an interesting transition to go to something like this. So I do plan on giving you guys some footage of actual driving and all that stuff in this video. All right guys, here we are. This was a bit of a pain in the ass, mainly because of the way that the shift boot mine was created. So I'll flip it inside out so you're able to see. But basically, they put this little neck on mine, like a little, actually they made a collar on. So you see how that's stitched? That made it very difficult for me to line it up with the zip tie and all that stuff. I tried to use a smaller zip tie, but it was just too small. So screw it. It's not gonna be perfect, so just be aware of that. You're gonna have small creases. I was trying really hard to make it perfect, but it's just not gonna happen. So tip for you guys, if you are installing this, is don't worry too much about the orientation of this, because you can adjust it later on. I was worried about that, so I was trying to get it lined up and get that at the same time. Felt like I needed like an extra hand, but don't worry too much because you can always adjust it later on. No matter how tight it is, you could always move it. So let's get on to installing the actual knob itself. All right guys, welcome back. This has become a bit of a headache in multiple different ways, and I had to ditch the little zip tie because basically it wasn't, the shift boot itself was not long enough to, I guess, have this material wrapped on it and still be able to shift properly. So I took it off in frustration because I was pretty upset overall, because this has been the most difficult shift knob I've ever actually had to you know, have everything go right. Anyways, so what I was getting at is, when you ended up shifting into all the even gears, so 2 and 4 and reverse, it would actually tug on the boot. And as you can tell right now, it's actually a little bit, even with it off, you can see that there's tension on it. So by us actually having to have that material folded over, it just created unnecessary tension and eventually would have tore the boot. So I typically don't do big videos for small things like this, but due to the issues, I think I'm just gonna make this a whole video and you guys will just see it all, because I'm gonna have to modify something else. So with that being said, hopefully this goes well and the end product is good. All right guys, so we got a bit of a problem. So keep in mind, this is a universal kind of shift knob kit, and the problem is this piece right here is in the way. So when you try to put this piece, it pushes it up basically about, I don't know, I'd say 1/4 of an inch, which I don't want any taller than what it is right now. So unfortunately, it's either I take this off or I can go ahead and grind part of this off, like cut it. So I don't have any other use for it. I can't return it, so I might as well just try to at least cut it off and see how that goes. Either way, it's not too bad, because even like this, the actual shift boot doesn't come down, so it doesn't look terrible. And as you can tell, hang on, let me clutch it in, but as you can tell, it doesn't actually go anywhere, so it's not too bad. So I'm already here at Rodney's, and I just happen to be here, so I had this in the car, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to grind this off, and hopefully I don't screw it up. So stay tuned for more. All right, this is where we are currently. Cut that piece off right over there, and now I think I'm gonna grind it down some, because there's still quite a bit left. I ended up getting, I'd say, probably about 1/4 of an inch off, so that should help out. And then I'm just gonna grind the rest of it with something. So yeah. All right, here we are, and probably end up just leveling it out a little bit, but I just want to see where it sits currently. So let's get to it. Got the Evo looking all good and stuff over here. All right guys, we pretty much wrapped it up. Got the interior pretty much all finalized and finished. There's the gauge. Got the steering wheel looking real nice. And then of course, we got the lovely shifter right over there. Everything looks good, man. Honestly, I'm pretty pleased with how everything went. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've had this on there for quite a while. It took me about 3 weeks to finally get used to it. And honestly, it's a big deal for me, just because I don't like change. And that's something that I need to work on. But overall, it's definitely a different feel from the small little shift knob that I had compared to this. This feels more like the MR. It's a little bit easier to shift because it's so heavy. And it actually, so I used to have this small issue where the shifter would actually stick on some of the gears, especially when I'm downshifting and then trying to quickly shift into another gear. But now that's been eliminated thanks to this shift knob. So the big question is it worth it? And honestly, I feel like it is, just because this is such an intuitive part of driving, and you're so involved with the shifter. So I always feel like a nice steering wheel feel as well as a shifter is always a piece that's definitely worth it. So this wasn't cheap. This was roughly about $350 or so. I think I got a discount way when I bought it, but overall this is not exactly cheap. But you guys already know that I don't cheap out on stuff, especially with this Evo. So that's pretty much it. Got a nice shot for you guys, so stick around for that. Other than that, take it easy, and I'm out, guys. Peace.